All right. Here we go. Aswand, Cruickshank, and one and only Move Swiftly speaker checking in for a daily Move Swiftly thought, giving your perspective on teamwork that you will not get anywhere else. Part two of why I am pro-life. If you recall, yesterday, recording this actually July 29th, 2024, and yesterday I did a video, one of my daily Move Swiftly thoughts, again, one of these videos that I do every single day. I spoke on why I am pro-life, given this election season that we're in and how things are ramping up and some of the issues that have affected me personally, that have shaped my thoughts, shaped my ideology, shaped the way I go about trying to be the best adult, the best human being I can be, when it comes to sports and the philosophies about sports and business, and in regards to what can potentially affect me becoming a father and things of that nature, and being a father, being a parent, all that kind of stuff. Again, I'm not ruling out. I am not ruling out a career in politics. The more and more I'm getting engaged with it, the more it's really intriguing to me to potentially land a career or do something in politics. Not to say I'm going to make it and become a president or anything like that, or a governor, but I'm definitely considering doing something in that field where I'm a part of the policy making decisions and leadership, and a lot of the work I do. There's a lot of synergy, a lot of similarities in terms of a lot of the work I do and what I see when it comes to these politicians, whether it's intellect, books out, regularly speaking publicly, speaking out on issues, being very passionate about helping people, all that kind of stuff is incredibly intriguing to me, right? So as far as part two of why I'm pro-life, yesterday I spoke about it from the men's perspective, right? And I spoke about two best friends that I had growing up, and both of them went to the high school that I was supposed to actually go to, and they both ended up having to, I don't want to say ended, but they both expressed to me that they participated in an abortion. They gave some chick that, one was some side hoe that he was fucking, and he threw her a couple $100s, and she got rid of the baby. And the other one, it was his actual girlfriend who got pregnant, and he decided that he was gonna get paid to get rid of the baby and all that kind of stuff. And it affected them in very many ways. Like I said, they were my best friends outside of my football teammates and all that. These were probably the two guys that I knew the best, hit them, and there was probably another guy and all that kind of stuff. Now from the women's perspective, because there's a lot I can talk about from the women's perspective, and like I was saying yesterday, it's probably going to require me to do a full episode where I can flesh out all the thoughts and do a full article of why it's just the best thing for the country to make it so the government is involved. All right, I didn't say that there's no situation, if a girl is raped, or if there's a situation where the baby has died in the young lady's womb or whatever, and it can be potentially harming the mother to have a dead child or whatever. There's a lot of obviously complicated issues, but for the most part, it should not be as accessible. Abortion should not be as accessible as it is today. All right, and this is even from the women's perspective. And when I was at Stony Brook, there was a girl that it could have happened with, all right? Then what I'm getting ready to tell you is probably the reason it didn't happen, why me and her never actually went the distance, is because of everything I'm getting ready to tell you right now. There was, I was sort of I met her, so I got to Stony Brook. I was already 2 years in college, right? So I was basically a junior all in the classroom, but still have my red shirt freshman. I was still basically a redshirt freshman on the field, but I was already in college for 2 years. And by the time I got to Stony Brook, the people who were my age were already there for 2 years. So there was a girl that I was sort of on and off seeing. It was sort of a fling/friendship type of a relationship. And she was telling me, and like I said yesterday, I won't put anybody's name out there, but she was telling me before we went from friendship to fling back to this is how it went. It was friendship, fling, we became enemies. Like, she didn't like me, we got into like a huge fight, and then we became friends after that. So that was kind of the roller coaster she and I went on. So what happened was, there was a guy that she had already kind of been really hooking up with, or basically it was a guy that was on the team that I knew personally. Again, if I would have said his name, everybody who knew me during my Stoney Brook days would be like, oh shit. So there was a guy that who was a prominent player, we'll say like a prominent player on the team, who there was already like a really deep relationship with. There was, time spent in the room. She had met his mother and all that kind of stuff. So they were in a serious relationship. And then I guess they were kind of on break, or they broke up or whatever. And that's when our friendship, me and her friendship, we became like flings. We started hooking up regularly and all that kind of stuff. And then what happened was I got really disrespectful because she let me hit it so quick that I was kind of talking reckless to her one day, and I didn't call her a hoe per se, but I was kind of insinuating that she was easy to fuck and all that because she let me hit so quickly. And that's when we became like, we was like angry at each other for a period, and then over time, she got over it, and then she messaged me. It's like, all right, we can be friends or whatever and all that kind of stuff. So we remained friends, right? And it was towards the end of my time at Stoney Brook. I was there for 2 years, and I was a senior, and we were both getting ready to graduate. And she and I kind of had a conversation. It was like maybe 2 weeks until graduation. And it was at that time where, again, we knew at this point we're probably not going to see much of each other at this point because we're all leaving, we're all graduating, we're all moving on to bigger and better things, and moving on to our lives after college and all that kind of stuff. And it was at that point that she told me what happened after that period of time in which we became contentious and we were fighting and all that. And she said, that player got her pregnant. She got pregnant during college, and she was like really one of the most focused students you could ever imagine. And what happened was she got rid of the baby. She didn't know what to do. I believe she got rid of the baby. And in that conversation, I realized how wrong that was, from the woman's perspective. And this is one of many things. I'm gonna have to do a full episode and talk about this more in depth, but the main point that I want to explain to you is when I had that conversation with her, it dawned on me that she was under the impression that she couldn't be successful. I mean, she's over 21. At this point, she's over 21. She's basically an adult. It's not like it's a crime if she gets pregnant or anything like that. But what was insinuated that if she kept the baby is that she won't be a success, that she won't be able to accomplish the things that she wanted to accomplish and all that kind of stuff. And one of the reasons that I'm so for pro-life is because I don't like this myth. I want to debunk that myth that women can't be successful if they have kids. I mean, she was in college, she was doing incredibly well. It wasn't like, she was gonna have to just quit school to raise the kid. There's resources, there's opportunities for her there were opportunities that she just may not have been aware of for her to, raise the child and, have help when it comes to raising the child and all that kind of stuff. That's number one. Number two, the player who got her pregnant, the man who got her pregnant, gets off scot-free, and there's no accountability whatsoever. There's no, you go get somebody pregnant and you get rid of it, and just like I was telling you yesterday, there's no accountability. You just, move on, forget, and act like it never happened. But it's something that tugs at your heartstrings every single day, and you have to live with that shit every single day. And that is why I don't feel like we're doing much good if we're not creating ways or creating some sort of ban, creating something in which there's government involvement when it comes to what people do with their kids. They should not be allowed to just get rid of babies in the fashion that it currently is. All right. So again, this is just sort of the preview of something. I'm going to be doing a deeper dive on this very issue. I've been tuning in a lot to some of these pro-lifers versus pro-choicers, and I got to tell you, there's a lot of arrogant assholes who are pro-choice. I really do believe that there's a lot of arrogant people who are pro-choice, and too often do these pro-choicers that I've seen, at least the ones that I've been paying attention to lately, do they come at this thing from a very selfish perspective, and they use terms like, oh, it's my body, the government shouldn't have it. I mean, listen, the person who's running for president right now is on record saying it shouldn't be the government's decision of what somebody does with their body and stuff like that, which is, again, a very selfish mindset, a very selfish way of thinking. So, all that being said, main website to check out to dive deeper into all my work, it's makeyourmove.com. That's makeyourmove.com. One-stop shop for your teamwork and your self-development needs. Aswand, Cruickshank, the one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.